What is going on, party people in the house? Loading up in the house already. I see you guys doing the damn thing. I saw Rodolfo in for the win as usual. My man Ski came in next. Josh Payton, the adjudicator. It's a big word. The adjudicator is in the house. My God, that's a hell of a name of a fantasy football team. But yeah, man, it is Wednesday night, and y'all already know what time it is. If it's Wednesday night, it is Drunk Unk night, and I am your host, your Drunk Unk, Anwar Richardson. I look forward to talking to you guys, being in front of you for the next hour or so. I'm excited. I'm in a good mood. So you know if I'm in a good mood. If I start off the show, let you know I'm in a good mood, just know there's no telling what I'm going to say. I haven't drank a lot. I haven't drank much. But we're going to still drink and have a good time and enjoy ourselves as we talk about Longhorn sports. And I'd be remiss if I didn't start by mentioning the sponsor. What's up, Chad? Rodolfo. Chad, man, I love to say it was something slick that I'm getting these shirts from. It's straight Amazon, baby. I don't go to stores. I don't like going to stores. I go to Amazon for everything except for groceries. Then I go to HEB. Like HEB is where the hookup is at. Outside of that, I do Amazon for everything. There's a particular shop/boutique that I get my stuff from, and I love it. So, but anyway, listen. The show to you is brought to you, my main man, Eric Torres, Eric Sells Homes DFW.com. If you are looking for a home in the DFW area, you want to sell a home, you want to buy a home, you want to just kind of see what's going on in the market. My main man, Eric, he has got you covered. Listen, I'm telling you, we're in March, April. If you're thinking about doing anything home stuff, like do it now, especially if you're looking to buy before all the kids get out of school and the market starts getting crazy. Do it now. Check out my man, Eric Sells Homes DFW. He's got the hookup. He's going to tell you everything that he needs to know. He's a good guy. He's a Longhorn fan. He's been on this show plenty of times. I will have him back on. Both of those guys I'm going to have back on probably once we get past the springtime. I don't want to, have them answer for things that they're not out there covering. So probably once we get past spring football, I'm going to have those guys back on. But I love them both. Those are my good friends. Hit my man up, Eric Sells Home, DFW. All right, for just real quick, because I know, I don't want to take anything for granted. There might be some people who are watching this show for the first time, and they're looking to themselves and saying, what the hell is happening? What kind of Longhorn show is this? What the hell are you wearing? What is going on? And why should I keep going? A couple of quick things. Your Drunk Uncle Sports podcast, right? Yes, I do have a drink in my cup, and I am from the South. I am from Florida, so you already know that I've got myself some Red Bull and vodka because I want to be awake for all my bad decisions. So that's in the cup right now. I hear the Red Bull's not good for your heart, though. I'm not gonna lie, but then again, neither were any of my previous marriages. If those women couldn't kill me, the Red Bull ain't got a chance. I can tell you that damn much. So anyway, that was funny, but it's so true. The Drunk Uncle Sports podcast, really the genesis of the whole thing is, I think of this as our weekly get together, kind of like our family, all of us getting together, white, black, young and old, and just kind of having a chance to sit down and enjoy each other, have the conversations. And when I think about the family, I try to think of who I would be in the family, and I want to be the drunk uncle, the person that makes you laugh, the person that you enjoy, the person that has great conversations. But at the end of the day, you learn something from it. And that's the kind of the genesis of the show. And that's why I called the Drunk Uncle Sports podcast. Russell, hang on, brother. I got you. I've got all that. I've got all that for you. Give me a second because I'm going to talk Maalik. I got a lot to say on that. I got a lot to say on Quinn. I got a lot to say on Arch. I got a lot to say about media. I've got a lot of topics to cover. So sit back, relax, pour yourself a drink. I'm not going anywhere. I want to get to everything that you want to talk about. Russ, I got you, bro, man. I've got you. Russ, are you just jumping in? Man, Maalik gonna play or not? I'm like, damn, Russ. Bro, I just doing the intro. I'm just messing with you, Russ. I'm like, damn, I'm 5 minutes in. He's like, bro, get to the point. Your show's whack. You gonna get to the point and let us know what's going on. Like, all right, Russ, man, you don't have to run up on me, okay? Hope everyone's having a good time, man. A couple of quick things. And I just want to do some like quick housekeeping things. A lot of times I start off the show and I just talk about just lights, a lot of little things. I also like to give people the opportunity to get in the show as well. A couple of quick things. For those of you, total sidebar, kind of a personal thing for me. One of my good friends, who's a huge Longhorn fan and a good friend of mine, this week just had surgery earlier this week for breast cancer surgery. Seemed like it went successful. So for all of you guys who are in women, you know, whether you're a praying person or whether you guys are just in the good vibes, like whatever it is, can you send that up for my friend Anna, ANA? If you guys just send them good vibes for her, the speedy recovery as that thing goes on. You know, like I said, glad that the doctors were able to get in, glad that they were able to get that taken care of. But for me, for your if you guys can just send out whatever it is that makes you feel comfortable for me, I would absolutely 100% appreciate it. And thank you in advance. So one quick thing, I saw something today and I wanted to just kind of make sure I kind of got into that. Oh yeah, huge. Oh yeah. She'll be back by the time it's training camp, and she'll be screaming and sending me messages wanting to know some Texas information. Real interesting. And I'm very particular to make sure I mention these things because I think one of the things that the media is good at is the headlines when athletes get in trouble, but they're really bad at talking about when people have charges dropped. Like that's when the media just all of a sudden disappears. Like the headline is such and such got arrested. And then when the charges get dropped or plead down or whatever, it's like a little blurb, right? Back in the day in the newspaper, the arrest was front page, the acquittal, or at least the settlement of it was usually like page 6 or 7. So out of fairness to this young man, who I don't know, never met, probably wouldn't know him if he walked down the street. But in fairness to him, the charges against former Texas Longhorn defensive back Ishmael Ibrahim were dropped according to some court documents. I saw this on KXN's website, so I'll give KXN the credit for that. But you know, there was a lot of different charges. I don't want to kind of get through all of the charges, and you know, because obviously it's been dropped and this and that. But he basically completed the state counseling courses that he needed to get taken care of, and that thing is done for him. So now I'm not going into guilt or innocence. That's not what we're here for. That's not what I'm here to do. All I'm here to do is just be able to say, okay, that thing was dropped. I know he's in the transfer portal. Wish, you know, nothing but luck. He's a young man, whatever. I'm not into all that. I'm just going to make sure it's mentioned because I hadn't really seen it mentioned too many places. And I feel like it's only fair that it gets mentioned that the charges against him are dropped. I'm sure that'll clear the way for him to get with another team and kind of restart his life. And, you know, good luck to him and whatever he decides to do in life. And by the way, if you're a Cowboys fan, and I know there's a lot of you guys out there and ladies who are Cowboys fans, I just want to know how you guys are doing. And not based off of Zeke, not based off of Zeke and what happened with that. But Bijan Robinson visited the Philadelphia Eagles this week. Bijan visited the Philadelphia Eagles this week. Thank you, Nate. I appreciate you as well. Bijan visited the Philadelphia Eagles. And I don't know how you guys, as Cowboy fans who love Bijan. Did you guys see something where he was like teaching folks how to swim this week? You know, and there was a tweet that was out there. In fact, I retweeted it. And so I guess I should ask myself, did I pay attention to what I retweeted? Tyler Feldman, who works here in the Austin area, he said Bijan Robinson continues to be a light in the Austin community. Last week, the future NFL running back taught swim lesson at the Bartholomew Pool. It's all part of the partnership between Austin Parks and Rec Department, Aquatic Division, and Tank Proof Team. How cool is that? Okay, so that was really cool. I'll be honest with you. I wish I had someone teaching me how to swim. I can't really swim. I'm not gonna lie. But when you're at 6'2", you don't have to do too many things outside of not make bad decisions. And so, what are you gonna do if the Eagles take Bijan? I mean, because you hate the Eagles, but you love Bijan. And that seems like to me one of the ultimate like conflicts. Like, how do you make this whole thing work in your head? All you can do is just hope like hell, right? That it just doesn't happen. But just know it's on the radar. And you guys know the way I know, because this is the thing that I've been told. I've been on a lot of different shows leading up to, and people have asked me about Bijan. So I've been on like a lot of different radio shows. And I've told people, I'm like, the thing about Bijan, that no matter when people start talking about, oh, no one wants to take running back stat early, blah, 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 you don't value running back, so on and so forth. There is going to be a team, guarantee you, Unc will tell you this, and Unc told you here first, that is going to fall in love with Bijan and say, numbers be damned. He's a great human being. I want this guy in my locker room. He's going to do fantastic in the NFL. And somebody's going to fall in love with him, and he's going to get taken a lot higher than people expect. I'm just predicting that. You guys know he's just that kind of good person. And I just don't know if your man lands in Philly, how y'all going to do and how you're going to take care of it. I don't know. But anyway, I just want to make sure I mentioned that. Make sure I took care of Ishmael. Want to mention the Bijan thing. Take a little sip, a little something. And then I want to set up where I'm going right now. And allow me a minute to get to where I'm going. And don't worry, I will get to Maalik. Trust me. He will be next on deck. But I want to get to this topic first. And I think a lot of you people who are listening are going to be very interested in what I have to say. And so let me start off by saying it like this. Chris, you got to pull for him, man. Don't do that. But let me start off by saying like this. We have all done things in life where somebody has laid the blueprint for success for us, right? I feel like we've all done something in life where somebody has laid the blueprint of success for us. For instance, Dave Ramsey. I don't know how much you guys are into Dave Ramsey, but Dave Ramsey, a financial person, financial wizard. And Dave Ramsey has all kinds of things, all kinds of programs, all kinds of things that helps people get out of debt, right? To be able to save up money, how to buy homes. And there's literally a program. You can attend it for several weeks, especially like the debt one. I know this because Unc did this. And you get to learn how to like what to do and how to get out of pay off all your debts. And then, you learn how to save money and spend with cash, because spending with cash is supposed to be better than spending with a card. Because when you spend with a card, you don't feel it. When you spend it with cash, it comes out your pocket. Then all of a sudden you do feel it. Hold on, mosquito. Got his ass. I've been waiting for him to appear, and I got his ass, and you guys caught it. This is my electronic mosquito killer. He came in. I knew I was going to catch him. And I sure as hell caught him. That happened, by the way. Did it light up and everything? Sure no, did it. But anyway, so the Dave Ramsey thing, I've been trying to hunt down this mosquito that's been in my house, and I couldn't find this mosquito. And so I put my racket down right here. I was like, let me focus on the show. And he flew in to my screen and just made it happen. And just Unc was ready. So I told you about the Dave Ramsey thing, right? And Dave Ramsey has laid down a formula. Never knows what's going to happen on Drunk Uncle Show. The Gottman method. I don't know how many people you guys are familiar with Gottman, but Gottman is a person who's a relationship expert. He came up with something called the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse as relates to relationships, right? It's a great formula, by the way. Unc has been to counseling, and you guys know, I mean, I've been married a couple of times, so Unc's been to counseling. I've been able to kind of work through some things, and he came up with these things. And by the way, I just decided to share them with you because it might help out somebody, right? But the four horsemen of the apocalypse, and he said these particular factors are the things that often lead to divorce: criticism of a partner's personality, defensiveness, stonewalling, refusing to interact, or contempt. Criticism of a partner's personality, defensiveness, stonewalling, refusing to interact, contentment. Those things that he would put out there said those are the things that often lead to divorce and often leads to the breakups. Those are like the four major things that particularly happen. And then he also came with this the positive things that you're supposed to do within relationships. Don't worry, I'm going somewhere with this. Stay with Unc for a second. I killed a mosquito. You don't know what the heck is going to happen next. But he said, build love maps. For as far as how to build trust and commitment, right? You build some love maps. You share the fondness and admiration for your person. You turn towards that person and not away from that person. Have a positive perspective. You learn how to manage conflict, right? You make your life dreams come true, and you create a shared meaning, right? And so that's what he came up with, and that was the blueprint as far as how to make relationships work. I'm almost there. We've seen this thing happen in sports as well. We've seen the coaching trees, right? The Bill Walsh coaching tree. You guys have seen that, right? Bill Walsh was the person that laid the foundation, and then he laid out the blueprint for success. And that what led to the success of the Mike Holmgrens of the world, the George Seiferts, the Paul Hackett's, Jim Fossil, Dennis Green, right? All of that happened because Bill Walsh laid out the blueprint of success. You guys may or may not know Tony Dungy is a friend of mine. I got to know Tony Coach Dungy when he was in Tampa, and it always was good to me. And he is the architect of Cover 2, the Tampa 2. Like, Tony Dungy is the guy that came up with that, right? And so under his coaching tree, we saw Mike Tomlin, we saw Herm Edwards, Rod Marinelli, not so successful in Detroit. But these guys were elite at one point, right? Lovie Smith, Jim Caldwell, Mike Tomlin, Leslie Frazier, Mike Shula. And Tony Dungy outlined the blueprint of success. Onward, where are you going with all this? You gave us relationship stuff. You gave us some Tony Dungy, Bill Walsh. Like, what are you talking about the blueprint of success? What does this mean? It all relates and goes back to Rodney Terry. Because as Rodney Terry prepares to play Xavier on Friday, there are a lot of people out there that are not willing to give him his credit for what he's been able to accomplish simply because of Chris Beard. Because Chris Beard is the person that put together this team. And Chris Beard is the person that put together this staff. And it's this Chris Beard that's been able to do all this stuff. And so there's this kind of like this segment of people who are willing to brush aside everything that Rodney Terry has accomplished to simply say that's a Chris Beard thing. But I say it all to say, and this is where we would tie it back in as the preachers would do. If Chris Beard laid out the blueprint of success and Rodney Terry is the person that figured out how to accomplish it and how to enact it out, then you know what? So be it. Who cares? When I was able to get out of debt and be able to, save up money and be able to buy a house, nobody came to me and said, that was really Dave Ramsey who did that for you. No. Dave Ramsey laid out the blueprint, and I had to be the person that went ahead and went through with everything, right? When you have relationship success, you don't say to yourself, well, that's not really your success. That's Gottman's success. Has nothing to do with you. No, you took what was outlined for you and you enacted it, because at the end of the day, no matter what the blueprint is, you still have to take all the steps and all the measures, and you still got to be the person that does it. It doesn't matter if there's someone just outline it for you. You still have to do it. The thing about if Chris Beard, and the only thing that Chris Beard, that we're going to look back on one day and say to ourselves, what was Chris Beard's biggest accomplishment and then biggest contribution to the University of Texas? And what we look back and say is, he gave Rodney Terry the blueprint to success. Then guess what? So be it. If that's what Chris Beard has been able to do, so be it. But give the man his due. I know there's a whole question of, should you give the man the job? Should you not give the man the job? All I know is, if the man is going this, and this is what I should do, that's not a bad thing. And by the way, as related to Rodney Terry, as I get ready to play Xavier on Friday, at the end of the day, let's just be real. Chris Beard hasn't coached this team in 2023. Now I get it, because there's people who are saying to themselves, okay, because I looked it up. Chris Beard at 21-7, he's got a 750 winning percentage. The closest he's ever come to that in his career was when he had a 714 winning percentage when he was at Fresno State 2015-2016 season. That team finished 25-10. And so, again, it's easy to point to those kind of things. But at the end of the day, if Chris Beard gave him the formula and that's all it took for him to have success, it's like the same way you would go into Dave Ramsey and all of a sudden realize this is how I can have financial success, so be it. If Texas is winning based off of it, thank you, Chris. I appreciate you dropping that off to a man who knows what to do with it. And that's what, if that's what Rodney Terry needed, was just to get someone who could teach him how to do all these things, so freaking be it. But here's the thing. I like that, Jay Wall. You said Beard made the cake, but Terry baked that ish. Now, you know what? I'll drink to that, because that's actually pretty damn clever. But here's the thing, because at the end of the day, I'm gonna give you guys. I'm gonna give you guys a reason why I think Rodney should have it. I'm gonna give you guys two reasons why I think Coach Terry should have the job. First of all, he's been able to get the team. I got three reasons. First of all, he has the team in the Sweet 16. That cannot be denied. And there are other programs. He had to coach them to get them there, right? So just keep it real. He had to coach the games. Like the close games, especially the second one that they had, he had to coach them in order to get them through that. Now, Dylan DeSue did his damn thing. Super happy for what he was able to do. But there was still some coaching that was involved. And there was still, at the end of the day, Penn State needed saying to themselves, man, there were some things that they threw at us that we wasn't necessarily prepared for. So you got to give the man the credit for what he was able to do. Second thing, at the end of the day, I can't help but think that from a recruiting perspective, Ron Holland, Gatorade Player of the Year, he committed to Texas on November the 5th. And he's still committed to Texas. You guys can do this thing. You guys know sports. I don't have to tell you anything. You guys know sports. Usually, if I'm just there for that coach or that program, I'm out. And thinking in basketball, more so than any other sports, if you're good, you can go anywhere else and be one and done, right? So there's a recruiting portion of it that works well. A.J. Johnson, he committed on November 21st, obviously to Chris Beard, another 5-star. He remains committed to Texas. He's had every opportunity. These guys at this moment are waiting to see what happens with Rodney Terry to decide what their future is going to be with Texas. So we know, oh my gosh, he's never recruited on a high level. Well, right now he's been able to hold on to 2 5-stars. I think that's pretty damn good recruiting. I think that's pretty awesome recruiting. And by the way, if you have a question about Rodney Terry's recruiting, Blake, please help me out. Today, Rodney Terry sends out this tweet wishing a happy birthday to my beautiful girlfriend, Velka or Vielka. However you want to say it, say she's very attractive. I want to know if Vielka has a sister. You telling me this man can't recruit? Look at his girlfriend. Are you trying to tell me that Rodney Terry cannot recruit. That man has recruited her. So I know if he can hold on to 2 5-stars and he can hold on to her, that man is an ace recruiter. Thank you, Blake. He's an ace recruiter. 5-star recruiter in my book. Rodney, he's like, this is what I'm talking about. Rodney's that person where you saw her, you guys had the same reaction. Okay, Rodney, I see you. I see you. That's the ultimate compliment, right? When someone is like, hey man, that's you? Yeah, that's me. Oh, I see you. I see. You know what that means. Because what they're saying is, listen, I don't want to be disrespectful and tell you that your girl is fine, because I know that's really somewhat disrespectful to say. But damn, she fine. Like, right? All I can say is, hey, Rodney, I see you. We see you. You are the recruiter. You're an ace recruiter. But all jokes aside, I know some people are going to say, last thing I want to say on this, and I'll get to the subject at hand. I know a lot of people are going to say to themselves, okay, I want to see him win more. I want to see him to do a little bit more. And I get that portion of it. I guess my thing is, what constitute enough? And, if you're telling me that Rodney Terry is winning with Chris Beard's team, but the people who are in contention for the job aren't winning with their own team, aren't as far along in the tournament as Rodney Terry is with their own team, their team that they built. If you're telling me that those people aren't as far along, what are we wanting to see? Because should you not have wanted to see the people who constructed their team get to this point? I'm just asking, should the people who constructed their team and put their team together, wouldn't you have wanted to see them get this far? But you want to see someone, okay, it's all right. We'll see what happens. But look, when Terry wins, everybody wins. I know you guys love the Longhorns. I know some of this is just semantics. Let's see what happens. But you know what? He seems like a good dude. The players absolutely love him. And look, we need some basketball success around here. So, I know you guys will be rooting for him this weekend. And, I like you, will be hoping that they pull it off because you guys absolutely need that. And it would be great. And then, of course, football team, you guys are absolutely on deck. The only thing is, when someone says that we remember the same argument for Shaka, the only difference is Shaka didn't have that kind of success. So, yes, he was able to recruit, but Shaka wasn't in the Sweet 16. There's a little bit difference that's there. So there's just make sure you factor that in. So let's transition into something that one of my boys at the beginning started jumping my ass within the 5 minutes of being on there. Boy, y'all ain't shit. But I want to talk about journalism for a second. I'm going to talk about the journalism business. And don't worry, I'll be going somewhere with this as well. The journalism business is a really interesting business because I've been in it for a very long time. I've been in the business since the 90s. I got into the business, I want to say in 1994. I got my first full-time gig in 1996. Yes, Drunk Uncle's 49. Drunk Uncle turns 50 later this year. So, I've been doing this for a while. I ain't new to this. This is not my first rodeo at any stretch of the imagination. And I've seen journalism change because I remember being in a newsroom where there used to be tons and tons and tons of people working out in bureaus. It's funny. I got interviewed by a young man. I believe his name was Phoenix. Over the weekend. He's a young man that's at a Colorado State journalism major. A really good dude. And he wanted to kind of talk to me and do a paper on me and kind of interview me. And I kind of get a lot of people who kind of reach out. And so I, was more than willing to, sit down and talk to him and take the time. But I said a word that I didn't think he knew what it was when I used the word bureau. And I was like, satellite office, because I'm like, you don't know what a damn bureau is. But I remember having to work out in the bureau, like a satellite office, starting off doing high school sports, this and that. Newspapers used to have tons of staffs, right? And then, and this is before ESPN right took off, and then you would have your Washington Post, and the newspaper business used to be a thriving, huge business. And then people really started realizing, like, I don't really need a newspaper, because technology kind of came along and kind of made some changes. And then within that, newspaper industry, and especially the journalism industry, kind of started to shrink and started to kind of redefine themselves. And then so you still had your big, the 4-letter words or the 3-letter words, or ESPN, your Fox, or CBS's. You still had them, but then they started to shrink a little bit as well. And so it's interesting right now, because you have people who lean on those guys. And I don't want to take a huge knock on any of them, but you have people that lean on them, but they're not necessarily the experts as relates to your specific team. They are general experts, but when it becomes the specifics of the team that you like and know and love and cover, or at least follow, it's kind of like, they don't necessarily know what they think that they know. And it never became more evident over the last couple of weeks, and then especially this week, when the subject of the Texas Longhorn quarterback room was discussed, or has been discussed. And it's weird to me, because it was just a reminder to me that they don't know what we know. Okay? They don't know. So when Adam Schefter tweets out a Steve Sarkisian comment about Arch Manning competing against Quinn Ewers, it gets thousands and thousands of retweets. But it's really, when you think about it, it is so inaccurate at the end of the day, because there's been this guy who's in here, and and what's up, Phoenix? I didn't know you were watching. Good dude. By the way, Phoenix, he's watching. So he just sent me a message, and he actually used one of my I gave one of my intro lines, by the way, which is, I said, when you ever meet a woman, you got to have a nice icebreaker. So just go up to her and say something silly like, "Hey, you know what? I just noticed you, and I just want to let you know, like, you have the most attractive elbows of a woman I've ever seen." She's like, "What?" Like, "Nah, I'm just joking with you. My name is Amra. How are you doing?" Icebreaker, right? He said he's used it and it's actually worked for him. So props to Phoenix. And props to him in Colorado State. And so what I realized, though, is that a lot of these people, they don't necessarily know what's going on. And so, because there's been this big omission as relates to Maalik Murphy, because I've equated Maalik Murphy kind of as that middle child, right? There's the older child who got all the attention, because he was the first. So Quinn Ewers, right? He's kind of the older child in that room. He's the one that gets all the attention. Everybody focuses on him. He's Quinn. He got all the the new clothes, all the new toys. Like, he got all those things, right? So that's what happened with Quinn, right? And then there's the youngest child, which is Arch, because he's the last child. And so everyone's like always focusing on like him, and so he can do no wrong, right? The youngest child can get away with stuff that the older child could probably never get away with. It's somewhere in there is the middle child who somewhat feels lost. Where is he? Doesn't get acknowledged. No one talks about him. Everyone just kind of glosses over him. And I feel like that's where Maalik Murphy is. He's kind of like that middle child in the quarterback room, where everyone is kind of talking about the one, then talking about the other, and everyone kind of glosses over the Maalik Murphy thing. It was interesting, and it became really evident to me. And Blake, this is the other one that you can put on the screen. ESPN did their power rankings. They put out their power rankings of quarterbacks, And this is what they had to say about, Quinn. I want you guys to go ahead and look through all that. But things are really boring in Texas, really boring in Texas, especially the quarterback position, which could go in several directions over the next 3 years. Quinn Ewers is back for his second season as a Longhorn, but needs to consistently show accuracy and playmaking ability. Ewers, ESPN's number 2 overall recruit in 2021, spent a season at Ohio State before transferring, blah, blah, blah. But the arrival of Arch Manning creates an added layer of pressure on Ewings to keep developing. Ideally, Ewers holds down the QB1 spot. What? Through 2023 before giving way to Manning, the last product from America's most famous quarterbacking family. It goes on a little bit. And nearly at the end, the middle child is mentioned. Maalik Murphy, a second-year player with a big frame, 6'5", 225, could share the backup role. Could, maybe, oh no, who'll see? This upcoming season with Manning. I mean, what would he be doing? He could share it? I don't know. What does that even mean? Murphy was ESPN's number 250 recruit in the 2022 class. Thank you, Blake. Come on, y'all. What are they saying? That the mere fact that Maalik was literally one of the last things people mentioned just shows that sometimes people are just out of touch. Because what the craziness that happened that I found myself being a little surprised by is when I tweeted out something on practice on Tuesday and said, well, yeah, Maalik Murphy is back. He's running with the 2s. Arch is back with the 3s. And I showed videos of Maalik throwing. And it's like, what? And I'm like, wait, did you guys really thought? Really? Here's the thing that makes no sense about this. And this is when you don't have boots on the ground. And this is where it helps that you guys have boots on the ground and are able to do this. Yes, Sarkisian said that Arch would have an opportunity to compete. And you know why Sarkisian said that? Because he said it the other day where he said, like, I'm not going to tell anybody that they don't have a chance to win the spot and that someone's the number 1 person, because I'm not going to communicate that to anyone. AKA, I'm not going to have you quit on me in March by telling you that this is not your job. So, yeah, I want to dangle that carrot in front of you. I want you to keep working hard. I want you to keep striving for the top and all those kind of things. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to just tell you right now you're out. I'm going to make you believe that you're in and keep going. But be logical, folks. And Arch Manning, if Arch Manning is starting on day 1 at this season to open up the season against Rice, something's gone wrong. Like 2 people got hurt. Like two people were riding scooters. Like 2 people were doing something crazy. Like 2 people had some bad stuff that has happened to them. Because you can't go from a quarterback room and have a kind of this instability. And this is what so all of a sudden, Sark gets here, and then he goes from Hudson. Then he goes from Hudson to Casey Thompson. And then next year, he's got Hudson and Quinn Ewers battling out. Then he goes to Quinn, and then he's going to go Arch. He's going to do 4 quarterbacks in 3 seasons. I mean, come on. That's just not logical. And by the way, I just want to be real here for a second when I say this. Arch Manning, if anything goes wrong, and I don't anticipate that it will, but if anything goes wrong, Arch Manning is Steve Sarkisian's kind of last get out of jail free card. Like, that's the card that you play. Like that's the, hey man, I know things aren't necessarily going right, things are going well, but guess what? I got Arch coming. The last thing, and I mean the absolute last thing that Steve Sarkisian should want to do is even play Arch this season. Because now all of a sudden, when you pulled out the Arch card, you got no other cards left in the deck. That's it. If Arch doesn't pan out and be the next great thing, it's a lot of slow singing, a lot of flower bringing as far as that is concerned. So the plan, and let me tell you guys what the plan is. I'm going to make sure you guys kind of understand what the plan is here. The plan, and I say plan, I would say hope. I'll go with the hope. The hope is Quinn goes, balls out this season, and this is from people behind the scenes. The hope is he goes, balls out this season, he goes pro, it's all good. Second hope is Maalik Murphy has a chance to come in next year, and Maalik probably, maybe can win the job next season. And Maalik Murphy goes out, balls out, goes to pros, then it's a wrap. Then you've got Arch. That's the hope behind the scenes. That's the hope and belief that behind the scenes. Now, anything can happen. Now you get the Quinn thing's got to happen first. At that point, Maalik's just got to bid out Arch the following year. Now, easier said than done. We'll see. Time will absolutely tell. But Maalik Murphy is not here because Steve Sarkisian told him he'll never have a chance to play at Texas. Like, there had to be a conversation to give him some sort of reassurances that he's got a shot to play. The goal and hope, honestly, behind the scenes, with what I was told, was that they were absolutely really hopeful that Maalik would push Quinn this offseason. That really, really was the number one goal. That really was the number one hope, that actually ends up being the thing that happens. Now, if it doesn't, look, he may push him. Do I believe Quinn's going to be the number one guy at the end of the day? Sure. I'm a Quinn guy. I'm not going to, I won't jump off my bandwagons or anything to that effect. Not to say I don't ride with Maalik or think very highly of him, but I'm not into, the quarterback instability either. Like, let these guys go, let the things play out. So I'll say it like this, because, to get to where you guys were at the beginning, I think what's going to happen, this is just my Anwar opinion, and this is just my opinion. This is not anything that someone's told me. It's just what I believe. I think Quinn's number one this year. I think Maalik's number two next year. And then I believe that Arch ends up being the guy following that. Now, could it potentially change? And could we see a real intense Maalik versus Arch battle next season to see who determines the start? Absolutely. I'll put that absolutely on the table. I won't take that away. So that will need to happen. He will need to beat out Arch. And Arch will have a year here, and Arch will not be a tough out. Arch is good. Now, I'm going to tell you a couple of things. I'm really grateful for all you guys and ladies who are listening to the show as well. So let me tell you about what I did see in practice. This is kind of just a fair observation. Now, understand this. Maalik Murphy has not participated in a spring practice. I had not participated in a spring practice until this past Tuesday. He didn't practice last spring. He hadn't practiced at all this spring. So when I tell you what my observations about him, I'm grading him with a curve. I don't even know if they grade with the curve nowadays. That's an old school thing, probably like Scantron. My kids have no clue what Scantrons are, number 2 pencils, or anything to that effect, right? But I saw a guy who had a fantastic arm, rocket arm. Like, I'm talking about a guy who can make the throw, flick of the wrist, like all that kind of stuff. Powerful, huge specimen. I'm imagining him looking over defenses and just being able to have that success, be able to stay in the pocket. Now, here's the thing. My constructive thing that he has got to prove on is it's got to be the accuracy. There were times that he definitely missed guys. He definitely overthrew guys in practice and the portion that we were able to watch. Again, I take it with a grain of salt. I grade it on the curve. It's first practice. So you tell me he's doing this a year from now, then I'm like, oh, okay, like there's a problem. But right now, first practice, I'm not going to hold that against the young man. I'm going to give it the time to grow and develop. But Arch does look good. Not gonna lie, Arch does look good. He makes some pretty balls. He throws some. He threw a pass to Jaden Alexis. It was like a 40-yard pass. Just dropped it right here. It was just that beautiful over the shoulder where it's just right here is perfect. And he throws a lot of good balls. So I'm not going to say anything about Arch. It's still going to be a learning, growing, development process that needs to happen with him. I think so. Will Maalik have his hands full probably in 2024? Sure, absolutely. But the person who wins the competition will have absolutely earned it. And I think Texas will be better for it. I don't think there's going to be one of those like, ooh, let's just see what happens kind of thing. I think the person who wins it, I think you should be with high confidence saying to yourself, damn, that person won. Okay, it's on. So I just want to make sure I said that thing about Maalik. I want to do a couple more just kind of quick like house keeping things for you guys. And by the way, if you've got some questions for me, go ahead and put those in the chat. If you want to, go ahead and holler at me. Let me know what you're thinking. Because I want to make sure I try to get to. I can't guarantee I'm going to get to all the questions, but I'll try to get to some, especially as things that I'm talking about. Jay Wall says, if we win the B-ball natty, is the onward curse over? You know what? That's very unfair. It's not fair because Texas, first of all, it's not a curse. Texas, after the 2009 season, hadn't had a double-digit win season since Tom Herman got here, which actually I was here to cover. If we're going to be fair about that one, so to be fair, there was like a five win season not long. I think it was a year after that. There was no double-digit win season. So to be fair, I was here when Texas went to the Sugar Bowl and beat Georgia. And I was here for all the bowl wins. So it's not an onward curse. Just saying. Things have gotten a little bit better. What does he say? No, when I go on vacation, Rodolfo, it's not about winning. You actually guys get a bunch of 5-star commits. And I feel like every time when I went on vacation last year, a couple of times, I think one of the times I went, Arch committed. I think another time I went, Anthony Hill committed. And then I took another couple of days off, and it was another elite. It wasn't a 5-star, but another elite person committed. So every time I actually take time off, there's someone that commits to the program. So here's where you need to be excited, because I won't be around. I don't think I'll be around for signing day this upcoming year, because I'm going to go to Cape Town at the end of the year. So if I'm not around for signing day, you guys will probably have a number one class. For real. You guys will have the number one class when I go. So I'll have to look up. I don't have it in front of me when I go, and I'll look up signing day. But if I'm not around for signing day, book it. Number one class. I'll be taking an airplanes for 2 different days, and you guys will just be getting one commit after another, like never come back. I hate it when you guys do that. So there's a couple other things. There's Isaiah Nayor. I know you guys have asked a little bit about Isaiah Nayor. People have asked me about Isaiah Nayor. Sarkisian on Tuesday said he was gradually working him back in at a rate that we're going. And it's a good sign for where we need to be come the fall. So that to me, if I'm reading in between the lines, Cinco said Liberace. Wow, you are old. You are old if you bring it out Liberace. So Isaiah Nayor is a guy to me that I don't think is end up going to get any work in the fall, in the spring rather. It's actually something I reported previously in the war room, that it seemed like that's not going to be in the works for him to really come back this spring and just kind of let him continue to grow and develop and have him ready for the summertime and then be ready to compete in the fall. No one's really worried about his ability or his knowledge of the playbook. It just want to make sure he is healthy. Brian, give me 1 second. The couple of guys that I'm going to read in between the lines and tell you that I'd be surprised if I see them out here this fall. Jalen Gilbo, Jalen Catalon. Neither one seems to be trending in that direction where you start and tell yourself like, I don't necessarily see that because Sarkisian talked about Catalan being a guy that he just wants to have him ready for the season. And he said he has enough experience, so he's not worried about the defensive back really missing the spring practice. When I start going into like he's got experience, I'm not worried. I just want him ready for the season. That's usually AKA you can probably hang it up for spring practice. And then Gilbo is a guy that I believe is trending in a direction that we probably are not going to see a lot of him as well. All right, let me make sure go get that super chat that's up there from Brian. What's up, Brian? Dropping the 20 spot on this. Great show. Knowing what you know now, plus some good old drunk uncle gut feelings. What is the pro of each QB if they got the number one job? One likely better at the long ball, and another a McCoy efficient short med passer. Okay, so you want to know the pros and cons of each QB if they got the number one job. Okay, that's fair. Well, I'll start with Quinn. The pro is you've got a guy who's been an assistant for 2 straight years. A person that's been able to start in his system for 2 straight years, which is what you haven't seen so far. You saw Quinn and Casey you saw Hudson I take a Quinn and Casey. You saw Hudson and Casey. You saw Hudson for 2 games. You saw Casey for the rest of most of the season, and you saw Hudson again. You saw Quinn, last season, did a little bit of Hudson. But you would be able to see Quinn as a starter, really kind of the main guy for 2 years. So I think that's absolutely going to be a pro. Quinn with working with these guys that he has. So you're talking about, the A.D. Mitchells of the world, Xavier Worthies of the world, everybody else who's an offensive stud that's on this team, this offensive line, that congruency. So I think that portion of it is really good as well. A con, I can't think of a con. The only con that just to answer your question, the only con would be if he hasn't grown and developed. I don't know if that's a con of him starting. That'd be the only con that I can think of overall. But I can't think of something. If you told me, Quinn Ewers is a starter on day one, there's some negative things that are associated with that. So I would say with that, as relates to Maalik, I think the pro for him, if he would play, I think he's got a great arm. He's got great arm strength. I don't know if he's got touch at this moment, but he'd have to work on that a little bit. But he would have definitely have worked on the touch. He is a natural leader, a vocal leader. If you want a guy who's going to rally the troops, he is the guy that kind of does that, who will be able to do that. He's the guy that everyone, loves. I was in the media room, I think it was about a week or so ago, waiting for Sarkisian to come in. And sometimes there's a lot of guys take a shortcut through that room. And Maalik walked through, and I'm 6'2". So, but you felt his presence. But I know it sounds corny when people say that stuff, like, oh man, I felt his presence when he walked through the room. But you felt his presence when he walked through the room. That portion of it was really good. I'm looking up something as well. And as far as a con, I think the con is just the lack of experience. He hadn't played in a little bit of a while, and so now all of a sudden you're starting over with him. So I think that would be the con as relates to Maalik if he was a person. The last one, as far as Archer concerned, the pro would be it would be lightning in a bottle. This place would be electric. Everyone would be excited about him. It'd be a national story. It would be fantastic as far as that is concerned. The con is he's a true freshman. Was just in high school just a few months ago, and the potential of throwing him to the wolves so early, I think that would be one of the cons for that. I think there's still a plethora of riches in that room. It's just a matter of, I think you just also got to be patient with some of these quarterbacks and allow them to develop. Couple of other things. Oh, let's do the questions. Blade, throw up a couple of questions for me. Just do this. Antonio, my cousin's name. Mr. Harris. So good to talk to you. My bold predictions: Watts will have his spot taken by the end of the year by Brooks. Ooh, still looking at 12-0. Well, okay, Antonio, I gotta ask you this. I've got to ask you this. If you said 12-0, here's where I'm a little bit thrown off by what you said, Tony. So if you're saying 12-0, so if he got his spot taken, that means something bad happened, right? So then what would have bad have happened? By the way, Brooks is a baller. I will tell you this, though. Watts looks pretty good. Now, he does look good. Like Watts looks, his build, his physique, he looks like an NFL guy. He looks like an NFL player. I'm very high on Watts, but I'm not going to lie. Very high on Brooks, too. Very, very high on them. That's like, 1A, 1B for me, and Watts being the 1A at this moment, Brooks being 1B. I'm not going to bet against you, Antonio. Like I'm not going to bet against you, but and you did say Bulls. I will give you that. But I'm not going to bet against Watts either at this moment because when I've seen him in practice, he just flows. Like you guys who have played football and are real familiar with it. You ever see DBs that is when they're going back, it's just like they're gliding, but they're gliding at a high speed where you see the turn, and you just like, man, I don't know if I can beat him. If I'm running forward and he's running backwards, he might beat. Okay, for some of you guys who are stuck in your ego, you probably would say you would blow past him. I would say that for myself, he would probably beat me running backwards. Not going to say that. Randy, does Baxter start on day one? I would tell you this. He looks good. And so when I say good, let me quantify it for you so you understand what good, when I say good means. Like when I see him run drills, the footwork, the foot placement, the balance, incredible balance, incredible lean in him, to be able to he gets through these things, but the footwork is like right there. I mean, it just stands out that he's got, good ball control when he's out there in practice. Like Baxter looks good. I haven't seen him too much as a pass catcher, so I can't judge him on that at the moment. I don't know if today, if you tell me he's ready to get the bulk load, I'm not quite sure of that. I don't think he's going to be a starter on day one. I think he'll be a contributor. I'm not quite sure he's going to be a starter on day one. My money probably is still going to be on Brooks as a day one guy at this moment. And I think I see him as the guy that as he gets healthy, he ends up being the one that, Sark leans on a little bit. But Baxter, but when it's all said and done, I believe Baxter will be a draft pick. That I do believe. When it will happen down the line, but he's pretty damn good. But I'm going to tell you, Jaden Blue is good too. Jaden Blue is good too. I am telling you, when I'm hearing Tashard Choice, this is not a reflection on Brooks. When I hear Tashard Choice yelling, good, yeah. It seems like he yells loud when it's Blue, and it seems like he yells loud when it's Baxter. Just those guys stand out a lot. So I'm not going to say he's a starter on day one, but don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on him. If you tell me it ends up happening, I would say, okay, it's feasible. Latest on Derek Brown, never hear his name mentioned as a linebacker or the edge prediction. I'll be honest with you, his name doesn't come up. It's very rare. Sark was asked about the edge position this past week on Tuesday. He mentioned Ethan Burke. He mentioned Vasic. He mentioned a bunch of other people. I'm trying to go through my notes to see all the folks that he did go through, but that didn't end up being a name that was really mentioned. He said Jere Bledsoe has some sort of versatility in order to be able to do those things, but Neither, no, I would say right now from the edge position, there's just some catch up, Cinco, that probably needs to be had, and just always take this as a thing and a good sign, a sign, not a good sign, but a sign. If a guy's name is not mentioned, there's probably a reason why. Do you think Bijan, Cody? Do you think Bijan is a future Hall of Famer? You know what? I'm not going to say no, only because Terrell Davis is in the Hall of Fame, and I don't think he's a guy that, if you ask me, I don't view him as one of the greatest players ever. I thought he had a couple of good seasons, but I think you can rewrite the story of the NFL, exclude Terrell Davis, and you would still be okay. So if he gets in, who else? But I definitely think wherever he goes, if he stays healthy, he'll be one hell of a contributor. He's at least a Ring of Honor guy, Hall of Famer. I mean, he's going to have to be one of the best that ever did it, and I'm not quite sure where that will be. But yeah, I mean, I won't go Hall of Fame, but I'll for right now, I'll go Ring of Honor, and I still think that's high praise. All right, Cody. What else you got? You got any more, Blake? Hello, darkness, my old friend. Savion Red. You know what's interesting? Sorry, I keep hearing good things. It's so fascinating. I keep hearing good things about Savion and how he's looking in practice and how versatile he is and how he's helping out the team and how they feel like he's a weapon. And then when I look at the reps at the running backs, I mean, he's usually one of the last guys that takes reps. So I'm a little bit torn on what I'm hearing and what's the reality of it. Again, maybe it's the practice reps is getting a little bit more run. Sarkisian has praised him a lot, so there's something to be said as far as that is concerned. He would be a versatile person. Again, I don't like the pro comparisons. I think it's always putting a lot on a guy to compare him to an NFL person. But the only thing I have my only thing with Savion is that I feel like at the end of the day, he may end up being kind of a specialty person like a Keelan Robinson, where you throw him in every once in a while, but he's not a guy that you're looking at that's going to be taking like number 2 reps. Like if there's a Bijan and a Roshan, I don't necessarily think there'll be a Jonathan Brooks and Savion Red. Like, I think he'll be a guy who's a complementary piece, but necessarily, I don't know if that necessarily is the bet, what that does for a team, week in and week out. It probably helps with a few plays here and there. I just, don't know if he's going to be that person that's like the number 2 guy. Blake. Tim, thank you. I appreciate that. I got a collection of some fedoras. I need to buy a little bit more. And again, the outfits is just, the outfits is something that your uncle wears to the barbecue. Right, nephew. Right, nephew. Hey, man, nephew, I just want to let you know, That's what it is, nephew. All right, cool. Look like we are caught up on all the questions. We have gone for an hour. You guys have been absolutely fantastic. So on that note, I appreciate you. One more time, Eric Sells Homes DFW for me, Blake. If you're looking for a home in the DFW area, check out my main man, Eric Sells Homes DFW. Looking to buy, looking to sell. My main man, Eric, he's got you covered. Hit him up, check out the website, see what the inventory is like, and get into the home ownership game, selling game, whatever it is. But anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. I appreciate you guys tuning in. I will definitely be back next week. And hopefully we got more Rodney Terry to talk about from a positive perspective. Because if Texas wins, you guys win. And if you guys are winning, Rodney Terry's winning. And we got a bunch of positive things to discuss. So until next week, remember what I always say, live each day like it was your last, because one day it will be. And we'll talk soon.